Whenever you're ready, you can begin.
So I'm doing the handmaid's tale. Okay. What is identity? How do you be yourself when you are forced to be like everyone else? What identity do you have left that society hasn't already taken? Okay. Your identity is what defines you and your own being. In the novel, the Society of Gilead strips you of your identity. An example of this is the little things they do to create these impacts. Okay. They ban the mirror, the reflection, the object that reflects every color or lighter spectrum. By doing this, the Society of Gilead shows their absolute dominance over oppressed women, the handmaids, by stripping them of their own face and their body. To live in this society is not very much different than having a nightmare in itself. Death is always the better way out than to become an enslaved vessel to be in the better world. Okay. In The Handmaid's Tale, the Republic of Gilead is a theocratic state and a replacement of our current America, where women are practically enslaved to bear children to repopulate a devastated world. One of these women is the main character, Alfred, who is determined to survive and possibly be reunited with her family, where Edward just demonstrates struggle of identity and what identity is even defined by. Okay, so going back to the mirror, as I stated and in the text, there is a mirror in one scene that I know of. It's closer to the beginning, and Alfred says, "My face, distant and distorted, framed in this hallway mirror, which bulges out like an eye under pressure." So basically, y'all know what distorted means, right? Distorted. Okay, so the object that used to remind her of who she was, because when you look in the mirror, you see you, right? That show her own identity is now changed. It's like creating an illusion, used to condition a distorted reality. Okay. These outfits define these women now. You look at their dress and can determine whether they are a wife or whether they are handmaid or something else. Their hooded tops is covering their face. This tells me that the Republic believes that their face that their face is no longer worth looking at, because it doesn't matter. They stand with their heads bowed, which is a stand of oppression. Well, not in this picture, but yeah. And this is not who these women were. Can somebody tell me the difference between this woman and this woman?
No.
Well, can you tell me something about this woman? No, you can't. Okay. Well, why not? This is the power of the totalitarian society. This is how they've been stripped of their identity. And this is where Alfred has conformed. She states it herself, "The color of blood is what I wear, which defines us." Okay. And you want to know another reason why you can't tell me the difference between these women? It's because they don't have a name. Nothing more than labeled property of men, seen as a uterus or seen as two good ovaries and an overlooked past. Alfred tells us in the text, "My name isn't Alfred. I have another name which nobody uses now because it's forbidden. I tell myself it doesn't matter. Your name is like your telephone, useful to only others, but what I tell myself is wrong. It does matter." She is fighting with herself and concludes that her name is important, but only for others to know who she belongs to. Okay. Can everybody see this? I know it's a little small, but you see that's what it says. It says verbal inconformity. So I wanted to show basically how in the text, even Alfred performs to the society herself. So like Maddie and Jada was saying, she's stripped of her identity. So anybody can give me an example of when Alfred shows a little rebellion or rebels against the society?
She begins to steal from the household and starts using like makeup products and like moisturizers to better appeal to another opposite gender, like a man.
Okay, so then we will put her closer to society. Okay, so first before I finish asking y'all, so we know that clearly other characters.
But that could also mean that she is kind of conforming to the society too.
Okay, so anyway, the other characters around her, we know that who's the rebel of the book pretty much? Moira. So Moira will be on this side, and then who's like super conformed to the society? Yeah, well, not yet, but like Aunt Lydia, right? Because she's like super brainwashed by the society, so she will be over here. Okay, so now can somebody give me some more examples of her being a rebel?
heterosexual mix.
Yes, so, and then can somebody give me times when she conforms to the society? No. Okay, Jane.
The participation.
Participating in salvaging. Okay. Well, overall, does anybody remember at the end of the book when she basically follows the angels? She doesn't know that the angels are, people saving her, but anybody remember when she peacefully went into the van with them?
Mm-hmm.
That's closer to the end of the book. At the end of the book, she no longer, like Maddie said, has a reason to fight. She doesn't feel that there is a need to fight. So at the end of the book, even Alfred conforms, and she is completely stripped of her identity. She knows that she's not whatever her name used to be, whether it's June or whatever. She's Alfred. She's a handmaid, and she's not going to escape. And then even us, like, also Jada was saying hers was weaker. But we're even conformed to school. Like, imagine this to the extreme. So say, like, we all wearing the same uniforms. We all in here in this classroom right now. But imagine if those home monitors were the angels, and then, like, somebody is absent. So I say Gabby is absent. She gets hanged for something like that. We don't have fear implementing this school, but just simply something like this, we're even conforming. So I wanted to show basically how Atwood shows that it's easy to conform to a totalitarian society. And all of this, all in all, it connects to my thesis that in The Handmaid's Tale, Atwood uses motifs and symbols of identity to show how Alfred begins to conform to the expectations of the Republic of Gilead. Atwood explains that the identity that you had before the society was formed is stripped from you. You are left with the shell of the identity and the clothes that you are forced to wear. By doing this, Atwood reveals how easy it is to become blinded by the influence of a totalitarian society when stripped of your identity.
Okay, don't go anywhere. You know there are questions. Hold on. Let me put your time on. Okay. Oh shoot, I did that in the wrong place. All right, so does anybody have any questions for Kyra?
What made you choose your, like, in your thesis statement, your, like, representation of the clothes being, like, the identity that the Society of Gilead gives them that's left?
What made me choose that? It's something common in all the women. So we know that all the women are oppressed, and so I wanted to choose a common thing between all the women of how they were being oppressed by the Republic of Gilead. They're all forced to wear this outfit, which makes them not themselves.
So you got all the gifts and stuff from the movie, from the TV show. Did you ever watch it?
No, I want to go. I didn't watch it.
Okay. Let me ask a question if you don't mind. I really like something that I was interested in from. Does stop talking, please? Something I was interested in was your comparison of the Republic of Gilead to, like, the culture here at school and a lot of the things that the handmaids sort of undergo as a process of removing their identity, that students also go through similar things. And I thought that was a pretty astute observation. So with all that being said, is the only difference in those two cultures like a difference of degree and, like, fear, or are there other, like, are there other differences that you see?
Yeah, so it's not only just fear, but the fact that I feel like we're not going to ever fully be able to understand what they're going through, because we know that we get to graduate in 4 years. They don't really have a way out there. Well, 2 more years, but 4 years overall as students. And we still, while we have to wear uniforms, we still have a freedom of, like, what else we get to. So I get to wear this jacket, I get to wear this bandana, you know what I'm saying? So it's not completely like that, but as far as setting and having to be here, conforming to most of the rules here, it's like the same. But yeah, nobody's getting hanged or anything.
Any other questions? Okay, give her a hand. Great job, Kyra. Okay.